So, a baby is stolen, as well as the vehicle. Like, subscribe, ID in the Discovery Channel. Yes, ID in the Discovery Channel. The links are provided below. Get that Discovery Go app as well as that ID Go app. You might want to get those two things, combine them, make them into one. And I'm a Discovery influencer. That's indeed a true statement. That's a fact. I'm a Discovery influencer. So, location, Humboldt, Texas. A baby stolen as a vehicle was an unlocked vehicle. Does that or does that not make sense? Dear viewers, shouts out to the viewers, right? So the child was asleep when the mother and the mother's boyfriend left the child in the car without them. That's them up above, right? They left the baby in the car while they went to go gamble. Let's leave the judgment for a second. Let's pause. So once again, the child is only 16 months old. They left the 16-month-old baby in the car. The mother of the 16-month-old and her boyfriend once again left the car unlocked as the car was left running with the keys inside. They went to gamble. The baby was stolen along with the car. That in fact rephrases, well, it doesn't completely rephrase my opening, but in a sense it does, because I wasn't going to say my opening like that. I in fact messed up the opening, and then I was going to say that in rephrases because I was going to say it another way, right? But January 13th, mother of... Every time I get on here, because see, my microphone is turned all the way up, right? There's ample sound, as in I'm very well versed in hearing myself, but I'm also hearing outside, as in there's a seeping through. But sorry, January 13th, mother of the child, 21-year-old Kimberly Cook, and the boyfriend, 29-year-old Anthony Blue. The boyfriend and the mother, that decision, because see, people do that sort of thing. They do it in the summertime. There's been people that babies have actually frozen in the wintertime, leaving your baby. That's a no-go, right? Once again, the vehicle, Chrysler 300, as they walked into the Shell Gas Mart. The couple had a habit of leaving the child in the vehicle to play gamble games. You know how gas stations do indeed have games that you can play, right? But I'm thinking a child, 16-month-old child. See, there was a woman, when was that? I think that was last summer. It was a woman and her sister that left a 6-month-old baby in her car in 90 degrees weather with the windows all rolled up. I think I got that right, the baby's age. I think the baby was like 5 or 6 months old. And it was a woman and her sister left a baby in a car, but she took, I think it was a 4-year-old or 5-year-old. Maybe he was 3. I think he was 3. But they took him, the little boy that was able to walk on foot, and they left the infant in a car in 90 degree or so weather, right? The baby ended up dying, of course, but I'm thinking if you got 2 hands, and I mentioned that in one of my other videos, if you got 2 hands, it's appropriate enough to say 2 adults, one of y'all should have remembered that the baby was in the car. I'm thinking, because if it's a driver as well as passengers, I say that even the little boy that was able to walk with them to the mall or through the store or whatever, even he would have been sitting back there with the baby car seat. Does that or does that not make sense? In the last story, before I finish this out, right? This story. That mother and her sister left that infant in the car in that weather, right? And yet they had enough sense to take the little boy, her son, which was like 3 or 4 or 5 years old, with them into the store, but left the baby. But remember, there was a driver as well as a passenger, but that means that the little boy would have been sitting in the back with the infant. So that doesn't make sense. I mean, nobody has questioned that sort of thing. It doesn't make sense that they didn't look to see, well, we're going to get the little boy out unless he opened the door and say all them, the two sisters forgot and just left the baby in the car or something. And the little boy was able to pull the handle, get out the car and walk with them. Say slam the door and walk with them. That's the only way I can see that happening, right? It slipped your mind. But I'm thinking still, if the mother would have forgot that the infant was in the car, that the sister would have remembered, or even the little boy that was walking. That didn't make sense. So back to the story. So once again, the couple had a habit of leaving the child in their vehicle to play gamble games. They stated that they would check on the child often as the car sat running, right? They would do that, and it would be like 11:30 at night when they would do that. And they wouldn't just, it was often, right? Who leaves their child in a running car at night all of the time? 11:30, midnight. Because, yes, midnight, right? Because you say that was going on at 11:30 is to say once they get in the store and they start playing the games, is to say attention consumption, right? That should be a phrase. That should be a new phrase, right? Not in retail and playing gamble games, right? That's to say once you walk into a gas station and leave your 16-month outside in the car and it's 11:30 at night, is to say once your attention becomes consumed by the games that you're playing, you and your boyfriend, is to say you're not going to be in there for a half an hour. Some people have been known to go into stores like that, play games for 2 hours or so, right? That would be almost going into 2 a.m. or something like that, right? So it was captured on video of the couple. Where was the other photo? Did I probably is not. Yeah, it's probably not up. Or is it up? The viewer will let me know about that. Well, the photo pertaining to the actual footage in print. It's not in video. It was just a snapshot of surveillance. So it was captured on video of the couple running from the gas station after noticing that their car was no longer in the parking lot. That was after midnight. Because even that's questionable. Even though they noticed at midnight that the car was gone, right? It still makes me question how long they were known to be in that gas station. Right there is the photo. Surveillance. Right? And so, pertaining to that, despite them noticing at midnight that the car was gone out the parking lot, that's still, once again, for the third or fourth time, the question, how long would they usually be in? Because, see, look, the reason why I'm saying that is I said, I'm thinking about 2 a.m. More than likely they would not leave. Because if they got there at 11:30 and she checked at midnight, as I say, they usually must have stayed longer or something. Get me on that. I'm stumbling on my words. I'm sorry. That's appropriate calculation on my own and to theirs. As in, I'm able to see possibly what police might have or may not have seen, right? That if you're in a gas station playing on gamble games, it's to say you got there somewhere around 11, right? 11:30, and then you go to check out the window or so, right? At midnight, it's to say if you got to check at midnight, more than likely you're staying longer. Dear viewers, leave a comment in the comment section. Yeah. My calculation right is about right. I'll say 2 a.m. that they more than likely was staying there till. Yeah. Something like that, right? It was two males who stole the car. Both of those males being 18-year-old Jonathan Davis and 19-year-old Vincent Leon Kennedy. I was going to say Canada. Like how Oprah likes to say Canada. She used to say Canada, right? Kennedy, right? And it's amazing that those two males did not kill the baby. The two males who stole the car, they could have did something, and I'm gonna get to that a little bit later, right? They left the baby in McGregor Park. That's just as bad as, say, not killing the baby. Think about that. That's just as bad. If you don't kill a baby and yet you leave a baby at a park, is to say the baby is going to be wandering around alone. That's how even children have been known and could get attacked by a possum, right? Because to be out in the park and it's dark, as to say that's wooded area, even bodies have been found out in wood, or could be, depending on the park, right? The location. Not all parks. Some parks are in fact open season where it's no wooded area, right? Just a fence or half fence, or some no fences, or some even enclosed, right? But it depends on the park. But it's still possums around in all environments, right? So that's to say them leaving that baby like that could have been even tragic. A dog could have gotten loose, say, right? I think a wild animal that always comes to mind when I think of parks, because open spaces. I've seen one time a fox in the city running down a city street. In the hood of all places, I seen a fox running down the street, because the location environment, as in foxes, that's what happened when you have industrial, say, business communities and all the rest. Once they start tearing down and all that, and you got vegetation and all the rest, right? Once they start tearing down greenery and trees and taking up areas that belong to certain type of animals, it's to say those type of animals are going to more likely roam into the city and all the rest, which is how I came across a fox. That just, yeah, let me let that go. So, no, it wasn't a hood whore. Don't ask. A ranger at McGregor Park found the baby around 12:25 a.m. That was a ranger at McGregor Park that found the baby. That was around 12:25 a.m. The park is located about 20 miles from where the car was stolen. That's a pretty good ways away. A ways away. Like how when you say death is coming, you don't say death is coming, you say it's a ways away. That's funny, and yet it's not, right? I'm just thinking a ways away. Not laughable about the baby situation, but I'm just thinking about how when people say things as in a catchphrase, even marketing is catchphrases, right? But even the driving distance, a ways away. Because to have a baby in the car, I'm gonna get even to that. I'm getting to that in a little bit as well. Baby that is not theirs in the car for 20 minutes, is to say, you know what that baby more than likely was doing, right? No, not offering no sales pitch or none of that. I know what the baby more than likely was doing in the back seat, right? If not one of them was holding the baby, no. Car seat was there with that, right? But the car, once again, from 20 miles away from where the car was stolen, from Humboldt, Texas to Houston, Texas, is about 20 miles apart in distance. When the ranger first saw the baby, he thought it was an animal walking around through the parking lot. And I'm so visual, just like how I got my sunglasses on, because this light is bright. It's very bright, right? The longer you sit in front of like bright light, it wears your eyes down with that sort of thing, right? But when it comes to the very first thing visually, because I'm so visually oriented, I said how many times, right? uh the first thing when I found out about the story, I could see was the baby in my mind. My mind, not my mind's eye. No, not third eye. But when it comes to that's what I can see. Even third eye, even my third eye, I'm able to see, as in, yes, visually. Third eye is here, right? I could see visually with every other story, the baby in the parking lot with the light there. And the ranger off in the distance coming close, right? And the ranger thinking that was an animal, because that's in fact what took place, right? That's what he thought it was, an animal, right? The child was wearing a onesie when found, as well as the child was shivering. Because to be in a onesie at night is to say, temperature and all the rest, right? So the two car thieves more than likely dropped the child off in the park. That would have been the only way the child would have gotten there, right? I wonder, even to this day, I wonder how those two thieves feel knowing the baby could have died. As in when they went to go take off in the car, right? When they took off in the car and the baby was in the vehicle, right? And then they dropped the baby off at the park. It makes me wonder, how was there any guilt there? There was no psychopathy, I don't think, right? If there was, the baby would have been slain on the spot, as in killed, right? And we will be hearing about it, right? Because even grown men have feelings, despite them being young in age. The thieves were, right? The two thieves were taken into custody after 1 a.m. That was after police noticed the stolen car. Both Davis and Kennedy have been charged with felony. I'm struggling with my words again, because I'm trying to speak ahead of myself instead of walking in line straight. Yet it ain't boot camp, right? Both Davis and Kennedy have been charged with felony kidnapping and auto theft. One of the thieves, Davis, faces another charge for resisting arrest. Both these have been their criminal histories when it comes to, because they in fact have records. I won't say a long jail record, right? But it is indeed there, right? They have criminal histories, and two, both had plea deals ongoing in relation to their past criminal offenses. When it comes to the child's mother and the boyfriend, they both have been charged with abandonment for leaving the baby in the car, and their bill has been set at $10,000. To or to not feel sorry for those two people, dear viewers. More so the mother, because my judgment is coming out, as in it's about to jump out at play. I could already sense it. Gather on that, right? Because to say, if a mother, for me, do I need to feel sorry for the mother or not? Because if a mother has to feel like she needs to have value or be given value from a man, and yet she can't give it to her child, is to say something is wrong there. As in, that's a loose string where it hangs out. As in, I'm even able to see, despite me not solving a crime mystery, right? There's something wrong with the relationship there, where you feel like you need a man so much you leave your baby in the car. And that shows me that even he's not man enough to even be with her. And she's not even something in the brain, not aware enough to see. I'm not saying she's stupid, but something is going on with that. Because if that man can't care enough for your baby, that's only 16 months old, picture that. The baby is helpless. As you notice, the baby is not able to care for itself. 16 months old, a baby can't do too much with that, because if so, the baby would have drove off with the keys in the car, right? And possibly got away from her, seeming he would have known, well, my mama don't want me, so let me drive off. The baby, I'm saying. The baby wasn't able to do that, right? But to know that that baby is as helpless as it is at 16 months old is for me to continue off with this. That guy being her boyfriend is being involved with a woman with a baby that's helpless. It's to say he didn't have enough care within him to say, let's bring the baby inside. So that shows me just how he would do her if she became helpless. Does that or does that not make sense? I give myself a hand with even that, because it didn't take much thought and thinking and logic with that. And yet, even she ain't well off in the brain enough to see that sort of thing. Most women, when they put their men and all the rest before they babies, most of them can't see that far. What I just said, logically, I'm saying, analysis, analyzing, picking apart. Well, if he don't care for my baby, that's a show me and tell me more likely she was more in love with him than she was with her child. Because a mother that's really in love with her child more than she is with her man, she will have her baby at her side and have her man standing next to her, and not catering and cradling her man more than she does her child. Some of these women out here cater and cradle they man or they boyfriend more than they do their kids. And then they wonder why their kids grow up messed up or committing crimes and all the rest. I just said and verified with even that sort of thing. Because even that's neglect. What she did. That's nothing more than a form of neglect. That baby could have, because every time I think about John Walsh, his son Adam, America's Most Wanted, right? That baby, to cut a head off of a baby is to say even this baby, this situation. Didn't I mention that in my last video, or was it one of my other ones, right? Why don't females see that sort of thing? That that don't even make sense. Maybe she got some childhood issues or something is not revealed on, right? Because to have that much care for that guy, it makes me stand and question, if he was the type to cheat on her, what would she do? That's the same. I'm able to see that. And I'm not even in her situation, but I'm able to see that. And I'm unyielding and saying that if she cared too much for that boyfriend more than she did her helpless baby waiting for her in the car, as the car was running and the doors were completely unlocked. That's how the guys got in the car, with the car running and the door unlocked, right? If she left her baby like that and would leave the baby in the car like that, and possibly didn't care, seeming they were at a gas station anyway, so there was more than likely no chance of the car running out of gas, and if it did, they would probably go try to fill it before it did, right? So, in me saying that could be why they were playing the gambling games there. But I'm able to see that, and I'm fully unyielding and saying that if that guy was the type to cheat on her, she more than likely cared about him so much more than her helpless baby that she would go running after that guy while he's cheating on her. Oh, please don't leave me. Oh, please don't leave me, while leaving her helpless baby off to the side, possibly to die. Because it said that this is one of them situations, is to bring it even to the forefront to verify. She basically left her baby to die with that sort of thing. That's exposing the truth, as in somebody should. They should. And I'm the right one to say it, because I'm heartless with even that sort of thing. As in, viewers, I'm getting to that in another video. I'll let it go for this one, I should say. But what I don't like is how people say, well, you say this, or you don't have any sympathy. Like when I said about Kai the hitchhiker, right? Kai the hitchhiker, I said what I said about him, and I said I don't feel any sympathy with that sort of thing, because he's going to jail, and more than likely he's going to serve enough for 2 people and years. And one individual viewer came to me saying, well, just show sympathy or just show this or have some compassion. I said, no, there's no reason for that. I think with brains and logic, not with heart. Not when it comes to the situation where it's death or a possible death or a situation leading up to that sort of thing. That's a no-go. And what happened with Kai the hitchhiker after I came out and said what I said and his fans came and cussed me out? Now Kai the hitchhiker is serving 57 to life or whatever he's serving. But it's more than, yeah. When I said Kai the hitchhiker is going to serve more than likely more than 2 people put together, his sentencing is going to happen and he's going to jail, right? I said that when it came to Jolie Musa, her ex, or not her ex, yeah, her ex, Jolie Musa, when she came up missing, right? And she was found dead in the woods, and I said more than likely her ex-boyfriend and I went screaming and shouting on the camera how he's going to jail, right? People got mad about that sort of thing. Well, how dare you accuse? He went to jail. I mean, what is the situation? What is wrong with people where they can't use logic, where they feel like they got to use their heart and compassion with everything? That could be why the system is so messed up and so jacked up, because people are not serving time the way they're supposed to be serving time, right? They do certain things, right? Stupid things. And then people in the community all across America in different various states, right, make excuses for them, which is how many of those people, in fact, get off through the system, the justice system. Because if people in the community are fighting for you and, oh, such and such don't need to serve this and such don't. I mean, I was completely in shock about the Kai the hitchhiker, not trying to get off subject, but I was completely in shock about Kai the hitchhiker situation. When many of them were saying, well, you don't have compassion or you're not sympathizing with him. I'm like, the way that man with the situation, how he died, is to know that there was more than likely anger or something more to that, right? When people like that fight for a Kai the hitchhiker, say even he might have not ended up in jail. That's common sense. Somebody else would, with this story right here, will be making excuses for her. Well, she more than likely was going to come back out, 15 minutes later. Don't judge her, because more than likely she was going to be out another 5 minutes later. Well, again, isn't midnight a little bit too late for a baby to be in a car, with the car running and the doors unlocked? In the car, period, at midnight, right? Because there's people out here, I'm saying that sort of thing as in I get an attitude and it causes friction with other individuals, as in why am I even on this camera? There's children out here still unfound that people have wanted, right? As in there's kidnappers out here. That's why I get an attitude with that sort of thing when people try to come check me. For me to have 2 YouTube accounts and be getting checked by these random people, right? And they don't know what they're talking about. It's to say this baby could have been kidnapped by somebody. There's cannibalists out here. The baby could have been kidnapped, chopped up, and eaten or something. Does that or does that not make sense, right? Sometimes you can sympathize with the wrong type of people. As in they don't need your favor, if that makes any sense, right? Some people need to check their level of commitment with that sort of thing, sympathizing with the wrong people. All I can hear right now and see right now on either one of my channels is somebody checking me on that, about this woman leaving her baby. I just got checked pertaining to Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil is, yes, with the OWN network in relation to ties with the OWN network, right? I'm completely off topic, and yet it needs to be said. The things that people check me over, because sometimes people that can't handle the truth can't face real life, and I always say that, right? But How would this situation have played out if this baby would have been kidnapped? I want you to think about it, because there's even women out here that can't have babies or reproduce or anything that want children. What if it was some random guy running down the street? Even people jog at night, right? That's in fact, people in fact, not just in the park. What if somebody was jogging down the street, because people had more access on foot getting in a car, like this situation played out, right? Getting in a car on foot, running down the street, seeing a baby in the car, getting in the car, either not driving away with the car or just taking a baby and then giving it off to somebody that can't reproduce. And then this mother wouldn't have no right to be upset, because it almost shows like she didn't want the baby anyway. That's why I speak highly on stuff the way that I do. It shows a lack of care and inconvenience on the end of the child, right? So the child remains in the custody of the child's grandparents. The baby was never harmed during the situation, this theft situation. In closing, the clerk of the gas station, she stated that she would watch the baby as she stood at the window of the gas station, and she felt bad for the child. The clerk herself would check on the child without being asked to by the mother or by the mother's boyfriend. That's sad in itself. It's sad in itself that even the mother didn't think enough of the child to tell the clerk, well, can you check on my baby while we gamble? But more so, I'm looking at the male. Because what if this woman would have married this male guy, right? That's worse in itself. Everything happens for a reason, even the baby's life was saved. Because the baby was taken away, given to the grandparents custody, right? And it should have, because to be looking into marriage as in how it would have ended is possibly tragically. Kidnap would have been on the way. That's enough for that, right? So, questions. First off, never leave a child in a car, but more so at night, even in the daytime, even in the sweltering heat, even in wintertime. Never leave a child, never ever leave a child in the car, right? Not even for 4 or 5 minutes, not even for 2 seconds, right? At all, right? So if the child is now in the custody of its grandparents, then where or who could the child have been dropped off to in place of the child being left in a running car in a parking lot of a gas station? Who else could she have have had the child given over to? Grandparents, yes, are old enough to keep babies. They don't always want to be bothered with. People have family members, they have friends, right? That's the once again asks their consistency level of gambling at the gas station, at the game, playing these play 8 type of games or whatever they were playing, right? Because you want to look into the consistency as in how often they were going, because as in how often they were going to that gas station and for how many hours they will play those games, because even that points in a direction to why they wouldn't want somebody to keep the baby. Because sometimes people keep stuff like that hidden and they don't want to be questioned by other people. Well, why are you I don't want to babysit. Why you gotta always bring the baby every night for you to go? You see what I'm saying? Some people are in fact gambaholics. Is that a term? I'm making it mine. A gambaholic, yeah, something like that. YOLO, gambaholic, right? Some people in fact have gambling addictions or game addictions or gaming addictions, right? Where they do it every day or they do it several times a week, and that's enough for them to hide the behavior from other family members, maybe, or even the boyfriend and them hide it or not let it be open or told, right? And they do it so much that it's at a level where they don't want to say drop the baby off to family members or to family members might not have wanted to be bothered with the baby. Not the grandparents, but the other family members. Depending on the relationship the mother had with any of them, right? They might not have liked the boyfriend. People's situations be all type of ways, right? I'm just saying. So the situation would have never occurred if the mother of the child would have dropped the child off to the grandparents from the beginning. This situation would have not, more than likely not have played out. Because to say that the grandparents now have custody is to say they have more care in the world than the mother and the boyfriend. Usually older people do, right? They're more wise. Because I could just imagine what the grandparents of the baby said to the mother. Not all grandparents are wise, right? Many are, right? So not everyone makes the right choices in life. So, number 2 question. Where could the car thieves have taken the baby in place of just leaving the baby in the park after midnight? Because I'm in question of even the thieves. Where could the thieves have taken the baby instead of just leaving that baby out there alone, shaking in the cold in a onesie? Because remember, even the thieves were young themselves, right? It wasn't like the thieves were 40 or 50-year-old men, right? People, they usually don't think, people usually don't think this far, which is why I do what I do. And scoping things out. Because even I have to question where others wouldn't question where was the thieves going and why. Where was the thieves going and why? Because for them to be 20 minutes away, for them to see a parked car, get in that car, steal the car along with the baby in the car, right? And then drive 20 minutes. That's, how far is 20 minutes on foot? See what I'm saying? You get to places quicker in a car than you do on foot. Is to ask, well, why were they in that wherever they were? Humble, Texas to Houston, Texas. 20 minutes driving time, and yet not 20 minutes in walking time, right? I get to thinking about hitchhikers and hitchhiking. You don't want to pick those types up, right? Shouts out to Kai the hitchhiker. May he sleep tight with even that sort of thing. But you have to question that sort of thing. As in, where were they going and why? The 2 thieves, I'm saying, before they stole the car, what was their point and purpose of being in Humble, Texas? Did they live there? What was the point of all that? And where were they going once they got the car? Once they stole the car with the baby in it? Because it leads back into what I asked. Where could they have taken the baby in place of just leaving the baby in the park after midnight? What was so important? I know young people oftentimes party and all the rest, right? Do all type of things. Young people do all type of things, but still, you want to question even that far and deep, right? It's in surround sound. It challenges your mind, right? So I'm sure the baby could have been crying, and this goes back to what I was saying before. Remember when I said I know what the baby more than likely was doing in the car? I said, oh, I know what the baby more than likely was doing that whole 20 miles in the car. More than likely crying. Which could have been why the thieves left the baby in the park. And 2, most thieves don't want the hassle of a baby which is not theirs. They don't want the hassle of the baby on their hands, right? Especially while committing crimes. What it look like 2 thieves? Bank robber A and bank robber Z. That's their nicknames, right? And one of them is carrying a baby like a mama would while they commit crimes in a stolen car. 2 men and a baby. That's funny in itself, right? 2 men and a baby, right? No men criminal, young or old, will want to be bothered with that sort of thing, right? Because babies is known to scream and holler and not just cry, which is what came to me visually as well. More likely that baby was screaming and hollering the whole ride. You know how babies get the 16-month-old babies. Some of them are able to talk. Yes, in full sentences, right? You don't know what all the baby was saying. The baby probably could have been saying, B, take me back home. You don't know with any of these babies. Because to have a baby, you don't know, that baby might have been like, look, MFer, what are you doing driving my mama and her boyfriend's car while me in it? Take me back to the gas station, right? Look, B. Some of these kids out here talk like that, even 16-month-old babies, because to have a mother to act like she doesn't care and is full of neglect, right? As I say, the baby might have been talking to them thieves any type of way. The baby itself might have been a bank robber, is what I'm trying to say. It's funny and yet it's not, right? Because even that challenges your mind. You don't know if she was treating the baby like that, as to say, well, how did the baby talk? Was the baby even able to talk? Because even with neglect comes sometimes babies being certain ages not to completely comprehend or say full sentences. There's babies out here that's able to comprehend a lot of things, right? But yeah, neglect poses issues as well with that. I hope that don't go off again, and it's going to like 4 or 5 times. So but yeah, the two thieves, when it comes to them driving 20 miles with that baby, it shows that they kind of cared. And it's kind of funny that the thieves picked a park of all places to drop the baby off at. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I'm not laughing at the baby, no. I'm laughing at the situation as because they were young. The thieves were young, right? All I could think of, when you got young individuals, I'm saying because it reminds me of a movie as it plays out. Well, these two guys, they thieves, they young, probably had a screaming baby in the back, like I said before, and was probably thinking, where are we going to take this baby? We got to get rid of this baby. Well, you said this. You know how people go back and forth during crime. Well, you said this. No, I didn't say that. No, you said that. No, we can't drive over here because they're going to ask. No, we can't go over here. Well, we got to get rid of the baby now. Some people get mad and get to screaming and hollering at one another, right? That could have happened, right? Some people get nervous, right? Some people have been known to leave babies out on the side of the road, even highways. There was a situation where a mother didn't want her baby no more, and she in fact left her baby on the side of a highway and left the money in the car seat with the baby. Little black baby, right? Which makes black folks look bad, right? Situations happen, right? But yeah, that's an interesting thing, because for them to pick the park like they did, because see, the baby wasn't really old enough, and yet depending on what was all in the park, see, I'm able to go through details and explaining why they could have picked the park. The park might have had swings, right? The park might have had swings. I was gonna say a seesaw. There's all type of things depending on how the park was set up, right? That would even tell why they dropped the baby off at the park too. Because if you drop a baby off at that age, 16 months, at midnight, around that time, right? Late in the early in the morning, right? At that time, if you drop a baby off at that time, and I'm going to ask the thieves, what were they thinking? Because I'm able to see somewhat through the rear view, as in thinking back on it, right? What were they thinking? How was that park set up? That shows why they would have left the baby there. I said that, right? But more than likely, what was going through their mind enough for them to think, let's leave the baby at this park, pertaining to, did they think we're going to get the baby off our hands by leaving the baby at the park, and it'll make it look like either the baby walked out somebody's house, that's in question of how close houses were to the park, or to make it seem like somebody's mother, as in the child's mother, left the baby at the park. As in a setup, as in how thieves do things and make it set up in a scene that way, right? That's what I was trying to understand. The picking it apart, trying to see, right? Scoping into, peering into how the thieves were thinking. If we leave this baby at the park, it's going to look like a mother left a baby here at the park, or a father left a baby, or whoever left a baby, right? And we can drive off. Somebody will more likely find the baby, but I don't even think they was thinking that far, because I know if it's around midnight, 12:30 going to 1 a.m., right, to drop a baby off in a park, that's a long time before it gets bright outside, as in when it gets more light outside. That's a long time from that time until it starts to get light outside. So the baby would have been wandering around, so more likely they wasn't able to think that far, right? That's why I asked, where else could the baby have been dropped off to? That's more likely why they did it, because to drop a baby off at a police station is enough to get caught, right? You don't know what police officer is sitting out in the parking lot as one of them take the baby in or something, and they go drive off. You don't know what police officer might have been in the parking lot and might have seen a plate of them driving off, but didn't know that they were criminals. And then an officer or something come out. You don't know how what had played out, or them taking a baby. That's how you can tell they were young. They weren't wise enough to think. We could have took the baby to another store and dropped the baby off in the store. They could have did something like that. They could have set up the situation in the same type of way. They not, yeah. I'm trying to show you with that sort of thing, as in where I'm going. With that, they weren't, wise with that sort of thing. I'm thinking they possibly, if they would try to prevent harm of the baby, they could have left that gas station, drove to another gas station more close by than 20 miles away, and then say maybe the guy and the baby would have got out of the vehicle on foot, had the guy drive over. I'm so much into all this pertaining to what I know, how people do things, right? That's all crime TV, right? This is all ID and me showing you and telling you pertaining to how things do stuff. Watch ID, by the way, right? But one of those thieves could have taken the baby by hand and say, both of the gentlemen in the car, right, the thieves, they could have drove to a gas station but not parked close to the gas station. One of them could have got out with the baby, held the baby, cradled the baby, right, walked in the store or something like that, act like they were looking for something, and he could have left the baby in the store, right, down one of the aisles or something. Told the baby go get some candy, pick a piece of candy, distract the baby with some candy, and then walked out. And then ran down to wherever, and then drove off. And then let whatever store clerk. It could have been the same situation. They could have did it like whatever, right? That's crime TV. I just explained it to you, right? And they would have gotten away with that, right? Shows they're not, or something, right? Once again, watch Investigation Discovery. The logo is about to pop up on my far left. There it goes. For you to know and understand, right? Let me see something. Maybe they cared, maybe they didn't, right? So the thieves the thieves cared enough to drive for 20 miles with a baby in the car, and I said that already, right? That's long enough for the thieves to think. 20 miles is a long time, and yet it's not, right? Depending on your age, depending on your driving experience as well. 20 miles is a long way in distance, and yet it's not. Depending on how fast you go and move, locomotion, right? How fast you move, right? In the vehicle, right? Some people that's a long time, for some people it's not, right? But that's enough time to sit and think of what to do with a baby. That's all the time in the world to sit and think, well, what can we do with this baby? We can't stop and get nothing to eat. We might not even want to, because see, that's kidnap. That's in fact kidnap. It's unintentional kidnap, right? I should have said that miles back. But once again, it's indeed kidnapping, yet it's unintentional kidnap, because see, to be at a gas station, it's a no surveillance tapes was there, and more likely the thieves knew that, which is more likely why they didn't throw the baby out of the vehicle. So that's why I say unintentional kidnap. Taking a baby that's not yours and then driving off in the midnight air. That wasn't intention. That wasn't the intention from the start. The intention was to steal the car. That was the prime intention. Because see, if they really wanted that baby, they would have kept the baby, and that would have been certified kidnap, right? But they were still charged with kidnap, despite it not being intentional. Because it takes something that don't belong to you and take it anyways to say you're going to be charged with that sort of thing. Because even something could have happened to the baby with that, right? Even if it didn't, it's still kidnap, right? By law, it's kidnap. But yeah, that was enough time to think with that. What can we do with the baby? We can't go get nothing to eat. I said that already, right? We can't stop anywhere in this car with this baby. Because to stop anywhere with this baby is to know there's surveillance videos at any store we go to. There's all type of things. Tapes. Not tapes completely. Everything's digital, right? But yeah, you don't want to be taking no chances of stopping with that. That's not doing that out as a promotion. I'm saying in relation to situations when it happened. You don't want to kidnap, period. Not at all, you don't, right? But I'm just saying for a thief, how he would be thinking is, I'm not going to stop anywhere with this baby. A police officer could be right around the corner, wherever we turn, wherever, right? So it makes me question even highway state patrolmen. As in, because see, to be traveling 20 miles and all the rest, right? The whole situation, the kidnap, I can go long in distance with even that, because to know to kidnap a child, right, unintentionally, with not the intention of kidnapping, right? It was unintentional, right? You kidnapping is to say that mother saw, and it was on surveillance, the mother saw that the car was gone, right? That's to say you have where it's reported right then. You have Amber Alerts and all the rest that usually depending on the time frame, right? Story to story, it varies, right? It varies, right? Pertaining to Amber Alerts and missing children reports and all the rest, right? But that's why a thief or thieves wouldn't want to stop anywhere like that, because to take a baby is to say, well, you know, depending on the time frame, you don't know, because something could happen with even that with FBI. You don't know where somebody will be stopped, and I said even that, or what would have been called in pertaining to that. Because to say that even that was her vehicle, you see what I'm saying? Is to say registration, all that is there. The availability with that sort of thing. People like that would want to go completely hide the vehicle off. Some people change plates and all the rest. They do all type of stuff, right? Especially when it's kidnapped too. There have been people that have destroyed vehicles. Destroyed vehicles. As in taken vehicles. This wasn't more than likely going to be one of those situations knowing they drove. Well, who knows, right? It could have, right? If they wouldn't have gotten caught, them being that young and inexperienced, I'm able to see they possibly would have stolen the car and then just parked it once they were done with it, right? They more than likely wouldn't have trashed it or anything like that. But when it comes to kidnapping stuff like that, people have in fact actually driven vehicles out into like swamp area or whatever and let the car sink, and sometimes with children in the back and all the rest, right? People do some scandalous stuff. So I think even the judge is going to take into consideration their kindness or whatever that good deed was, because that is somewhat of a good deed to society, despite it not being. The fact that they left the baby at the park and didn't kill the baby, right? I think law, in a sense, would take that into consideration, despite them. They were already charged, the thieves. They were already charged. And yet once again they have plea deals, right? They're ongoing plea deals. All this being the courts all being connected and tied together, right? Is to say even that comes up and all the rest, because to know that they were charged is to say. But to be kind or do certain things, right? That's an act of kindness, and yet it's not, right? It's still kidnap, right? Is for me to even question how is that going to turn out in court pertaining to their other cases and criminal history in relation to their plea deals. I just went in a circle 3 times with that, right? Trying to get to the point, right? Yeah. That's basically it, right? And so that's a fact. Yeah, because see, they committed unintentional kidnapping, yet they also committed unintentional good deed. Them leaving that baby like that without them killing the baby, that's not a good deed, and yet it slightly is, right? That's I'm like almost at twofold with that, because you took the baby out of harm's way. You never know how reckless they might have been driving off in the police chase if that would have occurred, right? It points in 2 different directions. That baby could have been involved in a police chase with them, and the car could have flipped over, crashed, the baby could have died, right? And then you gotta go back to comparing that to them leaving the baby in the woods. You gotta compare every situation that could have happened to the baby in a dangerous manner involving them, and compare that to them leaving that baby out in the dark in the park. Did I say in the woods? Not in the woods, in the park, right? You have to think of every situation that could have went wrong. They could have had friends or gotten an argument. One of them could have got mad at the other one. Them being thieves anyway could have held one of the other ones up at gunpoint. Anything could have went wrong with that situation involving that baby, right? But they took danger out. They took the baby out of a dangerous situation, and yet they put a baby in a dangerous situation. That's why I said it's twofold, because it's at 2 angles at once, right? Yeah, I'm too logical for the average. I was told that. So we're in fact on investigation discovery.com. The ID logo stands in the far left corner. It's people that know me personally that don't even know I'm able to think this far. See how logical I am, right? Yeah. People that don't believe in you don't need to know. That's a fact. I'm like a magician when it comes to making things be well spoken, told, and all the rest, right? More I'm not saying. So the ID logo sits in the far left corner right here. Live now, Web of Lies season 3. New episodes. I'm sorry, I'm trying to see myself as well as scroll over myself, because I gotta stay somewhat centered while I'm on here, but at the same time, this screen with me going back and forth like this, I have to be able to see multiple things on here, right? As well as my time. So, new episodes. To gain access right here is to provide who you're subscribed to is in fact padlocked down. You're going to provide who you're subscribed to. Various ones with that padlock like that is to say that's why that's set up, for you to gain access to it. Unlocked episodes to receive an audio visual preview is to click the play button right here, and you in effect receive an audio visual preview. Unlocked series recommended for you. Shouts out to Lieutenant Joe Kenda as well as Paula. ID Go original series. You can click on either one of these to click play as well. What is going on? For like the past, is this like the 3rd week? There's some change or something, because usually I don't like when it's to change like that, because I like to be able to say crime feed, news, crime feed. To gain access to the crime feed is a click right within here. You will be directed to the outside to the crime feed. Crimefeed.com, full of latest, greatest murder and mayhem. Anybody who has been watching me for the longest will notice I usually say that and haven't, because it has not been here, is in fact ghost. It's in fact getting ghost on us, and it's been on a disappearance alert, as in it's been kidnapped or something by ID during investigation discovery. Because usually one of the most famous faces that sit there is a Casey Anthony, right? That's how I know. To receive a newsletter, to type your email address in and click next. I'm sitting on the next button. See, anytime stuff is not on here, it throws me off. So let me try it again. To receive a newsletter, is a type your email address in and click next, and you would in fact receive a newsletter from Investigation Discovery. I'm sitting on the next button. The button is there, but seeming my face is there. My face was covering it. But anytime, I don't like that when things want to go ghost or play Casper on you, because to do that for too many weeks, it throws me off, as in it's going to. I want to be able to say crime feed. To gain access to the crime feed is a click right here, because I like to say full of murder, mayhem, and all the mess, right? Butcher knives and all the rest, right? The latest and greatest, full of murder and mayhem. That's usually what I say. And yet for it not to be there to say, I'm gonna forget all of that, right? It's been stated in the clause with that. Yet I don't mean Santa Claus. And yet if you ever need gifts or gift box or want to unwrap something, is a come right here. I just showed you. And yet it's no Santa Claus in the providing, right? So let me know what you think about the video, dear viewer. Let me know what you think about the story with this sort of thing. What do you think would have occurred with this situation? What would have been the outcome if it didn't play out like this? I think that's all to be said for now. I'm going to enjoy my day. May you enjoy yours, and I'm gone.